Hello, today I'm doing a quick Q&A, and the sketch you see behind you is something that I pulled out of Procreate. I thought that might be more fun to look at than my face. So the first couple questions I'm going to look at are based on my video that I did just earlier this week about Procreate and my process for drawing comics in it. In that particular video, I wanted to use Procreate from beginning to end. I didn't want to grab elements from other programs. I just wanted to say if I was going to do everything in Procreate, this is how I would do it. And one of the more time-consuming aspects of that was drawing the actual comic panels, which is really easy in some programs, but not necessarily as easy in Procreate. And someone asked this question, is there not a rectangle tool? The short answer to this question is no, there is not a rectangle tool, but somebody else came up with a really good workaround. This is Cypher FPSB, and he says, someone created a square brush for Procreate. It's not perfect, but it's definitely easier than drawing the panels manually. That is a fantastic idea. I use brushes for other things that Procreate can't do, like gradients and that sort of thing. So going out and finding basic shape brushes is actually a really good idea and something I'm going to do next time I have to draw something. I also pointed out in the video that I put all my coloring on a different layer because I didn't want to ruin my ink layer by using the drag and drop color option that Procreate has. And I got several comments recommending a better way to do it, which I love. This one by Daniel Lecoux. And I apologize if I just slaughtered your name, Daniel. But he says, you can use the ink layer as a reference layer. What you do is you drag the layer to the right with 2 fingers and use color drop on another layer. You don't need to duplicate your ink layer in order to use color drop. That is so cool. I had no idea you could do that. The next question is just a random question I got from an older video where I talked about making money and that sort of thing as a freelancer. And this is from Michael Daniels. And he says, how do you come up with the rates you charge and hours? This is a great question, but it also might be a long question, so I'm kind of trying to answer it as short as I possibly can, so I might skim over some things. But here's how I do it. I figured out how much money I have to make a month to cover all my bills. Things like my mortgage and food and clothes and internet and stuff that my family needs. I also have to factor in healthcare and taxes, which oftentimes an employer would take care of because I'm self-employed. Once I know how much I'm spending per month, I figure that I can bill 80 hours a month, which is equivalent to about 20 hours of time a week. And I basically just divide how much money I need on a monthly basis by those 80 hours, and I come up with my hourly rate. Now, some of you are probably cocking an eyebrow right now and saying, 20 hours a week? You're not working 40 hours a week? And I totally am working 40 hours a week. But what you find as a freelancer is it's very, very hard to actually bill all 40 of those hours in a week. Realistically, if you're working full time, you're only going to be billing between 20 and 30 hours a week because you're going to be spending a lot of time talking to people on the phone about new projects. You're going to be spending a lot of time doing invoices. You're going to be spending a lot of time, doing sales and doing project management and doing things that you can't necessarily bill for. I don't know, everybody does it a little differently, but that's generally it, as I figure out how much I need and then I divide that by how many hours a month that I'm working. The next question is, I did a graphics roundup of vector apps for the iPad a couple months ago, and Brian Hill asked, your March 2016 graphics roundup doesn't cover Bez, which appeared the following month. Would be great to see a video review or even just some comments from you. And I downloaded Bez as soon as it became available. I think I heard about it on Daring Fireball. The writer there, John Gruden, said some really nice things about it. I downloaded it, I used it, and I just wasn't impressed. To me, it was okay. It wasn't a bad program, but I had the same problems using Bez that I had with pretty much all the other graphics programs. I'd say it was near the top of some of the ones I've used, but I don't think it was anywhere near as nice as Infinity Designer or Adobe Illustrator on the desktop. The next couple questions came from my review of the Wacom Intuos tablet. Legacy Films asks, would this work with Adobe Animate? Yep. Does this work with Paint Tool Sci? Yep. Does this drawing tablet work with GIMP? Yep. Can this be used for Photoshop? Yep. The nice thing about the Wacom stuff, and most drawing tablets out there, is even if I'm not using them in your favorite drawing program, especially the Wacom stuff, because it definitely has the best support and tends to have the best drivers. It works pretty much with any drawing app that you're going to find on a Mac or a PC. So yay for Wacom. Speaking of Wacom, they have new tablets on the way. These are the replacements for the companion to drawing tablet. I've wanted to pick up one of these and review it for a long time, but the hardware is just terribly out of date. They're almost 2 years old and they're really expensive. The downside with these new tablets is that they start at $1,500 and go up to like $3,000. They're called the Mobile Studio Pro line. They look really awesome. I'm going to be reviewing one. So I'm really kind of pumped to see how these stack up against like the Surface Pro and other Windows 10 drawing tablet laptop combo thingies. Also, I'm going to include a link for that one if you want to check it out. They're now up on Wacom's website, but I think there's a better rundown on Surface Pro Artist's website. He's a buddy of mine on Twitter. Rick has some awesome stuff there, especially if you are drawing on a Surface Pro or another Windows tablet. His blog is definitely worth checking out because he's got a lot of great information up there. So that's it for my quick Q&A today. I hope I answered some questions. Of course, if you ever have any questions on my videos, leave them in the comments. I try to answer them to the best I can, and maybe they'll even make it into one of these Q&As. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next week.